Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Ann Bossler, and I'm the chair of the City of San Diego's Commission for Arts and Culture. We are going to do a quick roll call this morning to confirm commissioner attendance. When I call your name, if you would please unmute yourself and say present. Commissioner Rebecca Smith.
Present. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Commissioner Tyler Hughes. Commissioner Keith Opstead.
Present. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. And Commissioner Fritz Friedman.
Present. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you so much for your attendance. It has been noted. Also joining us today, city staff, including our executive director, Jonathan Gluss, our chief of civic arts strategies, Christine Jones, and our project manager, Bel Reza. Thank you so much for all being here. Before we get into today's agenda, I am going to call on Bel, who will please run down the guidelines for today's meeting.
Good morning, commissioners. As you've all noticed by now, we are running this meeting as a webinar. This is to allow for the public to join and provide comment in real time. As a quick refresher, just please remember to keep your video on, yourself on mute unless you're speaking. And when you'd like to speak, please speak into the chat window. Chair Bossler will call you in the order received. Thank you.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. We're now going to move on to non-agenda public comment. The public was invited to submit public comment on the agenda and non-agenda items via a web form accessible through the agenda and the commission's website. Members of the public may also join this meeting as webinar attendees. If members of the public have submitted comments in writing via the web form, staff will read aloud public comment submitted per city public comment protocol. I will now ask Bel to please read aloud any non-agenda public comment. But before that, Commissioner Tyler Hughes, it looks like he has just joined us. Commissioner Hughes, will you confirm attendance here?
Thank you very much, Chair. Sorry for being late.
No problem. Okay, thank you so much for that. And Bel, I'll turn it to you.
Okay, great. Nothing was submitted in writing and there are no members of the public in attendance, so we will have no public comments. I will let you know if anybody from the public joins.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So let's see, now we're gonna move on to our first action item. Hope everybody's had an opportunity to review the minutes from the November 10th, 2022 meeting. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve those minutes? Let's see, Commissioner Smith.
So moved, Chair.
Wonderful, Commissioner Smith. Thank you for that. And we have a second. It looks like Commissioner Friedman.
I second.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We now have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Bel, any public comment for this item? I'm guessing not, but just want to double check.
No, there is not.
Okay. Now we'll take a vote. I'll call your name. If you'd please respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Please remember you do not have to have been present at the meeting to vote or to discuss. Commissioner Smith?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Tyler Hughes?
Yay.
Commissioner Keith Opstead?
Yay.
Commissioner Friedman?
Yay.
Thank you. And my vote is a yay. Okay, that is handled. Next, I am going to do have the opportunity for each of you to please give a quick update from your committees. Let's start, if we could, with Commissioner Smith regarding the Policy and Funding Committee.
All right. Actually, just want to say, staying in the moment, we will be meeting today at noon. Really looking forward to a presentation from our friends at RISE. And then just realizing as we're moving forward, just trying to make sure that all of our new commissioners really start to understand the work that we're doing. So looking forward to our meeting at noon today, Chair.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And let's see, Commissioner Opstead, did you have anything to share with respect to public art?
Thank you, Chair. We actually did not meet this month, but we do anticipate meeting in January. So I have no new action items to share.
Okay, thank you for that. And let's see, Commissioner Tyler Hughes regarding advocacy and outreach. I know we've been busy.
We have, Chair. Thank you. We had a very productive meeting on December the 2nd. A lot of really positive energy came out of that, and some really good commissioners are going to be really great members of the advocacy team, and talked about our long-term goals and short-term goals. And then we have been continuing with our discussions with our elected officials. We have now had 2 out of the 9. All of them have been very positive meetings thus far. We met with Councilmember Campbell this week, and I think that was a very productive meeting. And I really appreciate your time, Chair, to be in those meetings, and Jonathan and Bell for putting them together, and the whole team for providing detail. So we will carry on with those through the rest of this month and into the new year. I think there are a couple of people who have to push out to January. So anyway, it's been very productive, and everything that they're saying is very encouraging thus far.
Okay, terrific. And thank you for your leadership on that, Tyler. It's a treat to be able to be part of those meetings and watch you interact with the council members. And again, the reception has been incredibly positive. We are at definitely a new moment in time and have a lot to be grateful for. Let's see here. Okay, Belle, if you would, any public comment for this item with anybody who had written or called in?
No, there is not, Chair Bosler.
Okay, let's see. We're going to go ahead and move along now. So now we're moving to the approval of the agenda for our December 16th.
Excuse me, Chair
meeting.
Bosler.
Yes.
Hi, I have a couple of things to say about the commission engagement committee.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes. please,
That's
keep
okay.
going.
No,
I apologize.
No, please. So we're going to have our formal meeting next week, December 15th. Thanks for Belle helping me to coordinate that. And I did have one of the reasons we're going to have that is for the upcoming year, I want to come up with goals and strategies to engage our commissioners in a more robust fashion with the various cultural and artistic organizations in the city. Now, I did have a conversation, for example, with Jessica Berlanga Taylor of the Stewart Collection, and I know she's also spoken to Jonathan because she mentioned that. But one of the things we talked about, for example, she would love to interact more with the commissioner. She would like to get to know them better. So we're proposing having whomever commissioner wishes to go to the Stewart Collection at UCSD in La Jolla, perhaps have lunch at the faculty. They would take care of it, or we would, whatever the protocol is. But primarily for her to introduce the collection to the commission, and to she was going to rent golf carts because it's 1,200 acres, and a lot of the sculptures are throughout that campus. And so just to make it easier, we won't be able to see all of the pieces, but the major pieces. But I think it's that sort of interaction with organizations like UCSD's Stewart Collection and others, which is really what I really want to go for. And that should really help the commissioners really kind of focus on certain organizations and what they're trying to do, and that sort of familiarity, and vice versa. It's nothing more than building bridges. But anyway, so more about that as soon as it's finalized.
That sounds terrific. Thank you so much for that.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the agenda for the December 16th upcoming commission meeting. We hope you have had a chance to review that. Do we have a motion to approve that agenda? If so, let's see. Okay, Commissioner Smith.
So moved. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Smith, thank you for that. And it looks like we have a second with Commissioner Hughes.
Yes, Chair, I second.
Okay, wonderful. So we now have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that agenda? Okay, seeing none, we're going to take a vote. I'll call your name. Please respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Commissioner Smith?
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes?
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner Opstead.
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner Friedman.
Yay.
And my vote is EA as well. Okay, with that, we're now going to turn it over to our Executive Director, Jonathan Gluss, to please share with us any staff reports you might have.
Thank you, Chair Bosler. Good morning, everyone. You may notice that I'm calling in. It's because I'm attending the first half of the Tourism Authority's annual board retreat. I was invited to moderate the opening panel, which was focused on the arts sector, and in particular, arts workforce and the economic value of the arts, the nonprofit arts sector, with very specific questions about how this sector, or this industry, the tourism industry, can help advocate for increased funding for our funding program. That was directly at the request of leadership of the Tourism Authority. So I was delighted that they actually scoped the panel discussion around how the Tourism Authority can better support our goals. So that was exciting. Specifically, so I also had to apologize for the music in the background, sitting in the lobby of a hotel. The one thing that I wanted to talk about is the strong possibility that we will have to start moving back into in-person meetings. This is, as you all know, this is completely at the whim of the state. So it's only if they choose to allow us to continue virtual meetings. My understanding is that state meetings, for example, agencies of the state, are now meeting in person, and that has already been mandated. But they're allowing hybrid at the meetings for audience. So, for example, the California Arts Council convened, I think it was yesterday, for their first in-person meeting in 2.5 years. But they did, so every commissioner had to attend in person, but audience was hybrid. When we find out about this, it will be a very fast turnaround. It could be as early as January. It could be pushed back to May or June. But it is a reality we have to start talking about. At the staff level, we are looking into sites that would make the most sense. For those of you who have been on the commission for a while, we do have access to the council committee room, which is where we were meeting for about the last 2 years before COVID happened. That room, however, is not set up for hybrid. So there's a question that is with the mayor's office and the city clerk right now, is how do we handle audience participation? All of our committees, again, for those of you who have not been on the commission very long, and I believe that's really just you, Fritz, those committee meetings have been historically have taken place at our offices at CCP or Civic Center Plaza, or we can hold them any place in City Hall. So I'd like to just, and this is hot off the press, so I didn't even have a conversation with you, but I just wanted to put it out there that we are going to have to start thinking about this. And if anybody had any thoughts on preference for locations, if you feel like the timing of the meetings are still going to work, etc. So Anne, I'll pause there if there's any questions or comments.
It looks like, thank you for the information, Jonathan. I think these are important things to think through, and it sounds like there are some logistics. It looks like Commissioner Smith requested to speak.
Really just to follow on with that, Jonathan, two things. Would love to hear more about your panel with the Tourism Authority. You're not going to be surprised. I have lots of questions, so I'll park that for now. And then also in terms of venues, just reminding our commissioners, and Commissioner Friedman has heard me say this, there is something super glorious, even though it is different and not as convenient as getting on Zoom, but to be able to see our funded partners out in the wild and see their spaces and see their faces, and to be able to bring in, once upon a time around the holiday season, I don't know, some of you may remember this, like we Carol Manifold brought a choral ensemble and treated us to these amazing like songs right before we started our December meeting. And so I know it's going to be tricky, Jonathan, but that's also how can we as commissioners help you with finding venues, securing venues, yeah, and just making it work, because I think we have to see it as an opportunity just to be more visible in the community.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Hughes.
I think, well, I'll ask a question, then I'll make a recommendation. Personally, I have found that the virtual has been more conducive to my work-life balance, and to be able to be just a more engaged commissioner while not overly taking advantage of the largesse of my firm or the largesse of children. That said, if there was a way where we could advocate to the state to allow at least subcommittee meetings rather than full commission meetings to remain virtual, just tell me who to call and how to bother them, because I'm very good at being bothersome. Just ask my ex-wife. And then the secondary question on that is, would we be okay looking at spaces outside of City Hall? Because KPBS has their new community room, which is designed with a lot of virtual elements into it. And it may be an opportunity for us to really build a strong relationship with our new friends over at KPBS, with their new GM coming in. I think that would be a great place to look. It's a lovely space, really set up for all kinds of online engagement. So that would be the recommendation, if we can look at outside spaces. But whatever we can do to at least make committees be accessible like this. And I think our arts partners would agree that this has been the most engaged they have ever been, because they don't have to take time off work to attend.
Okay, thank you for that, Commissioner Friedman.
No, just tangentially from Rebecca's comments and Tyler's comments. Certainly one thing we may want to consider is, and I'd love to go to KPBS. By the way, Tyler, where is KPBS located?
It's on the campus of San Diego State University. It's at the corner of Montezuma and something else. And it's they just rebuilt their entire studio space, and it is a remarkable achievement.
Well, I think that's my suggestion, which kind of reflects Tyler's and Rebecca's, is if we do have these in-person meetings, we should really have them, a lot of them, at the various cultural, organizational, administrative offices with whom we have links, like UCSD, for example, or KPBS. I think it makes the meetings interesting. I think, as Tyler says, we become more engaged with our cultural partners, if you will. They get to know us, we get to know them. I think it's a great opportunity for us to have these meetings at these new environments, and it also makes the meetings a little bit more interesting, albeit a little bit more inconvenient for many who are working, like I totally understand that. But I think it would be a great opportunity for us to take advantage of our partners' infrastructure to have our meetings at.
Yeah, thank you very much for all those comments. And Jonathan, to your point with respect to the timing, I think we're going to need to do doodle polls and whatnot in order to figure that out. I think maybe for some people to do it at the start of the day as opposed to kind of in the middle of the day. I think that's going to be an important question to ask the commissioners and get their input on that. I see Commissioner Opstead, you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, thank you, everybody, just for your honesty. This has been something that none of us had planned for. As a teacher, when I am in a meeting, I either have a colleague sub, I get a full day sub if it's multiples or whatever. And so being able to go virtual for at least some of them, I would really appreciate that. Or if when we reschedule them, we can have them a little bit more consecutive. So instead of it being multiple days, multiple times, it's a better use, more efficient use of everybody's time.
Okay.
Can you say that so you mean coupling the meetings? So if it's in person, we're stacking them?
So in the past, I believe we would start the all commission monthly meeting about 9 o'clock, 9:30, something like that. And then there would be executive committee directly afterward. That way it'd be 2 meetings right next to each other, be really beneficial. Not all of them stacked, but just some of them so that it's not so many different meetings. If we're able to go virtual, that will still be fine. But if we could combine a couple of them so that they're next to each other, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Sure, understood. The reason that executive is not coupled with the overall commission meeting is the timing that's required by Brown Act to approve the agenda. But your point is well taken in terms of being able to stack meetings that we can. And the idea about being able to be out in the public and to be able to interact with the folks who are receiving the opportunity to do the good work as a result of funding from the city. I think that that's also important, and offering commissioners opportunities to better understand those groups and give them the time and the space to be able to interact, I think is great. It's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds, especially with the news starting to come out about the rises and the cases and the flu and the RSV and all of that. So time will remain. Do we have kind of a time horizon, at least currently, Jonathan? We don't. Okay.
So no, we are at the whim of the state. This is the first time that the city clerk's office has been very clearly messaging to us that we need to begin planning, because it could be triggered relatively quickly, as early as January.
Okay. Well, and we do have opportunities for places outside of the city venue, given the logistical constraints there. So if you need help with planning in terms of places and that type of thing, it sounds like we're all happy to help figure that out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do want to just say 2 quick things. One is I share the collective enthusiasm for having meetings at various cultural institutions. It's the institutions respond very well. They really enjoy the opportunity to showcase their institution, et cetera. At the same time, we need to balance that with the fact that we need the commission to have a continued elevated presence at City Hall. We continue to add the presence of physical manifestation of what we do at City Hall through increasing artwork that's being hung there and changing the way that so there is informal ways that electeds are, and the elected officials, council members, and in particular the council president, is frankly pushing staff. They want more arts presence at City Hall. And I believe that that is because we have such a supportive council right now. They want the building to reflect their values. So I'm saying that because as much as I want to be in the community, I also want to make sure that the electeds feel like we have a presence there, and you as the commissioner, staff has a presence there. I'm not worried about us. That you as commissioners have an opportunity to have a presence there. The other thing that I would say with that is, again, as much as it's nice to be out at various sites, if we have to go back to the original in person, which is TBD for audience, we are asking more of our audiences by having to go to various sites and tracking where we're going to be and building their travel time, et cetera, et cetera. So just please keep that in mind as well. I believe before COVID, we were doing 4 off-site meetings a year and then 6 to 8 at City Hall, which I felt like was a nice compromise. So something just to keep in mind.
Okay, that's great. Understood. Commissioner Opstead, did you have something else you wanted to say? You're on mute.
All right. To piggyback on what Jonathan said, if we are returning any from January to May, April is Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month in San Diego, and that might be an excellent opportunity to either bring in some of our creative partners, showcase some of our local working artists at actually downtown on the facilities. If we're back, it gives us a couple of months to plan.
Great idea.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
terrific. Anything else that we would like? Jonathan, please.
As far as continued staff report, I won't take your precious time right now. I will say in short, everything that we've been reporting out just continues to move forward. The cultural planning consultants, we're continuing to onboard. They will have their first site visit in late January. And that will be meeting with the mayor, chief operating officer, department heads, and you all. So we'll be coming back to you in the coming weeks with more information about that. And all of the other work, the Creative Economy Study and AEP 6, all of that work just continues to move forward. Christine is here with any specific updates. I imagine you have questions about the grant process and where we are with getting funds back out into the community. Honestly, we've made strides, but we still only have one official staff person in that office. Bell is working, probably 50% of Bell's time now is working on funding issues, as is one of the public art team members. So continues to be all hands on, understanding that means that there's other program areas that are not moving forward as quickly as they should or as we had planned because of this. Good news is we have extended an offer to a new staff person. We anticipate the new employee to begin early in January. So that's great news. Christine, is there anything you'd like to add?
I would just remind commissioners that we have a deadline coming up Sunday, December 11th, for the call for panelists. So this is a great time if you have a few minutes in your day-to-day to share the opportunity and encourage, through your networks. And I will share the link. But again, this is the call for panelists specifically for to be in the pool potentially for service for being a panel evaluator in March for OSP and CCSD. So let me share that link. So please share the opportunity if you can today, and remind them that deadline is on Sunday. I think I'll end with that.
Jonathan, anything else before we conclude the meeting?
Bell, anything from you? And
Nope, I think I covered everything.
that's our report.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Have a good rest of your Friday.
Bye.
Thank you.
That we adjourn the meeting.
Take
Be
good
safe,
care.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Belle, you're staying on with me? Good. Hi. Is everyone